What's up, everybody, and welcome to another Brograph tutorial. I'm Dave Koss, and today we're going to be talking about one of many plugins that I really like. These are GripTools plugins, and today we're going to be talking about the OSC interface. What this does is it allows you to take anything OSC based and interface it with Cinema. And what's cool about that is that could range from like a number of devices. Specifically today we'll be talking about the iPhone, iPad, but there's other applications as well. There's going to be some other tutorials later as well with MIDI and with Xbox and with Wii controllers and all sorts of other fun stuff. And they're all from this company. And this one in particular we're going to start today with a little Halloween theme. This isn't necessarily a Halloween tutorial, but it's that time of year. So I figured we'd do something a little Halloweenish. I'm going to start out with one of my presets, which is just a standard HD preset. And we're just going to make a real rough pumpkin. I know that like Grayscale Gorilla has done one. I think Chris Schmidt on there, whatever his name is, did that. So we don't have to go into making a pumpkin, but I'm just going to do a quick one so that we can use it in this example. Now, what I'm doing here is I started with a sphere, and I don't want to render perfect. I want it to have 15 segments. Now, in my view menu here, I am going to make sure lines are on, so we can see what we're doing here. Now I've got 15 segments going around, which is so that every other line we can push a line in or pull a line out. So with sphere selected here on the right, I'm going to hit C, and that's going to turn this into something more editable here, not a primitive anymore. And on the left, I'm going to select the line select tool, and then I'm going to go up to the select menu, and I'm going to say loop selection, I believe. Yes, good. Alright, so I'm going to go around and do every other line like that. Now if you have 15 segments, then it works out. If you use 14 segments or 16 segments, it won't work out so that they're every other. You'll get to the end and you'll have an extra 2 lines next to each other. So with those selected, I am going to take the transform tool, and I'm going to slightly go out a little bit here. You can see what that looks like with those lines. So those lines have gone out. I've scaled them outward. Now I'm going to take that same loop selection tool, and what's going to happen is it's going to try and pull a full loop here. What you want to do is click greedy search. And I don't know exactly why that works, but you'll get every other one now instead of 2 segments. Alright, so now we're going to do the opposite. I'm going to take the scale transform tool. I'm going to bring those lines in. So going kind of in and out here. See what that looks like. Not quite like a pumpkin. Next thing I'm going to do is use a HyperNerves, which is not called HyperNerves anymore if you're in version 15. It's something smoother. I don't know. I can't think of it right now. And now that that's on there, that looks a little bit more like a pumpkin. And I'm going to take go to the coordinates of this HyperNerves, and I'm going to take Y scale. I'm going to squish it down just a little bit. So there's our rough pumpkin, and then let's take a cube and put it on the top. Kind of like that. Make it editable here. Click on your cube and hit C. Take the polygon mode here, polygon select mode on the left, and just select the top. Now holding down Command or Control if you're on a PC, you can just extrude these little sections and just kind of turn and then move, extrude again. See, I'm holding down Command and moving to extrude this. Make it a little bit smaller. This doesn't have to be exactly like I'm doing it. I'm just kind of making this weird shifted deal on the top. And oops. I'm going to take the whole object, bring it down a little bit, rotate it. I just want a little like odd looking nubby thing at the top of my pumpkin. This is not a modeling tutorial. Alright, now on that cube I'm going to put a hypernerves on that as well. Now it looks too round. Okay, now if you've never done anything with hypernerves before, you can change weight, which is kind of cool. I'm going to click on that cube in polygon select mode, and I'm going to hit Command A so I select all my sides. Then what I'm going to do is go up to, I got to remember where it is, the mesh menu under transform tools. I'm going to change the weight, and it will be called weight even if you're in version 14 or 15, and you can change the weight of that smoothing. And so what I don't want it fully like rounded like this. I just want to bring it back just a little bit, so it looks a little awkward and oblong and kind of messed up. That's what the stem of a pumpkin would kind of look like. It's not great, but this will work for the tutorial we're going to do here. Now, you probably want to start with an orange texture just because, you know, it's a pumpkin, of course. So, with about that shade of orange there. You can pick whatever you want. It's not really that important for this. And do a little green, dark green stem. Alright. Got myself a little pumpkin here. I'm going to show you a little trick here. You could use bools and you could just cut out the eyes and the nose and the mouth. That's pretty simple. But what I would like to do is to put a little Breaking Bad theme into this. Just to do something fun here. I found a picture of Heisenberg on the internet, and I'm gonna open him up in Photoshop. Alright, now I'm going to crop. You can do this with any picture, anything that's pretty much black and white, unless you want to spend a lot of time on it. So I'm going to take my select tool and make sure contiguous is not checked, because I want to select everything that's black. And in a new layer here, I'm going to fill that selection with black. Now that's what I want to cut out of the pumpkin. So I'm actually going to select this again. I'm going to create a work path with this little button down here. Now from that work path, I'm going to file, export. I'm going to export my path to Illustrator file. I'm saving this AI file out here. And I'm going to take this same file and I'm going to open it in Cinema. There we go. So this is going to be like my cutout, and I'm going to do an extrude and put all these paths from Illustrator under it. Make sure that I have on my extrude I have hierarchical checked. So this is going to kind of act as my cutout, and I'm going to kind of give it an extreme extrude to be like a knife. I'm going to copy that and bring that into my pumpkin project, which I'm going to go ahead and save because that's always a good idea. Now I'm going to paste in my stencil, as it were. I'm going to scale it up. Yeah, so this is going to be my stencil. And so what I'm going to do is name these so we can keep track of them. This is the stem. This one is the pumpkin. And this is Breaking Bad. I'll just call it BB. Alright, so creating a bool here. So I want to put my pumpkin and my Breaking Bad here into the bool. Now you can see what's starting to happen. It's cutting out. But we don't want all of this inside. We want some thickness inside of the pumpkin. And here is a great way to do that. Now you can see if you move this stencil in and out as a bool, you're going to get just straight sides on everything that is cutting out. It's not hollow like a pumpkin should be. And for something like this, what I love to use is actually the explosion effects, because if we put this explosion effects under the pumpkin, it looks like it's exploded our pumpkin, and really that's what it's supposed to be used for. But if you go down here to Object and you do Time and you tell it you want time to be at 0, then it's not exploded. You've got to group the pumpkin and explosion effects together in a null, and Alt or Option G is how you do that. So I've got the pumpkin, I've got the that's the null that contains this with the pumpkin that we made with the hypernerbs on top. I've got the explosion effects right under it, and the time is at 0. Notice if I up this time here, it actually explodes the pumpkin, and that's not what we're doing. We're just using this to create some thickness in the pumpkin. And if you want to change the thickness of the pumpkin, it's under cluster right here. You can change the thickness of this explosion effects. Now, in real life, this area right here would not be able to exist because it's not attached to anything. So if you really want to get all detailed with your pumpkin, you can go in and you can change your original vector file that you make in Photoshop so it looks like it's connected and all of that. But yeah, that's fun. We've got a little cutout right there. So on to the fun part, which is we're going to put a light in it and we're going to make it be able to change colors. And we're going to use the software plugin. It's the extension for GripTools, which is the OSC plugin. And here's how it works. We're going to put an Omni light in the center of our pumpkin, which our pumpkin is at origin, so it's right there. And by default, you can already see what's going on here. You got Heisenberg. Now, what we want to do is be able to control the color of that using the iPad. Now, this is just kind of a basic application, but in this case it is a basic application, but this will help you realize what power there is in being able to interface OSC with Cinema 4D. So I'm going to go get my iPad and I will be right back. Alright, so on my iPad here, I have a piece of software called Touch OSC, and I really like it because it's got a lot of different options in it. So if you look through here, you've got some really cool controls. You've got rotational controls, you've got sequencers, you've got all these cool little buttons and stuff. And what's cool is you can actually go online and there are programs that will let you design this stuff. And this one particular piece of software has a really good piece of accompaniment software for your PC or your Mac, where you can build these interfaces. It has all the different pieces, so you can make these custom pads and custom sliders and all of that stuff. Now I'm just going to use one of the defaults for this. I like these little things because I like to use them to control lights. So we're going to take one and interface it with this pumpkin so that it actually changes the brightness, and it changes the color of the light inside the pumpkin. We're going to have intensity on this one here, and then we're going to do like an RGB mix on these three right here. So here's how you do it. I'm going to go up to the plugins menu where I have these GripTools. Now you can get a copy of this as a demo if you would like to try this. It's kind of limited, but you can still, I think, do this tutorial pretty well with the demo software. And so under plugins, I'm going to go to Camera GripTools. So under input devices, you have basically your different plugins that go with this plugin. And I'm going to use OSC for this. And when I do OSC, it'll stop and think for a second, and then we'll open up an interface that is showing me kind of a live input of what OSC devices the computer is seeing right now on the network. So on my iPad, I am going to go to my settings, and I'm going to check out the IP address. You got to make sure this is upside down. You got to make sure that you tell it the host IP address of the computer that is going to be listening. And you have to tell it the port. The port usually by default outgoing is 8000 on this type of software. And if you look here on GripTools, it's usually set to 9000 by default, I think, but you got to set it to the same port. So this is 8000. I'm going to hit Start Server. Now, see if I can get these windows next to each other so you can kind of see what's going on. See if I can change the size of this window. On my OSC software, I'm going to go to the device that I want to use, which is this one right here. And I'm going to start touching the stuff that I want to use, and you can see it starts to come up in the plugin on the left. So those are the ones I want to use. I don't want to use any other ones right now. And it's nice because you can touch these and they come up on their own, and that's it. You don't have to go through a giant list of all these OSC connections, just the ones you want. So now that I have this the way that I want it, you can see that this is called rotary 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to hit OK. Move my iPad off the screen for a minute. So on my light here in Cinema 4D, I'm going to add a tag, and it's going to be a GripTools tag. And you can see what it did is it put the light here in my GripTools, and next to it I'm just going to say custom, and then this allows me to drop in and drag properties. So on my light intensity, I'm going to drag into properties. I'm also going to drag in color, and I'm actually going to drag this in here 3 times because you can change that. See, if I click on color R right here, it's set to R. If I click on the second color R, I'm going to change it to G, and click on this third one, I'm going to change it to B. So we've got intensity, red, green, and blue. So how do we control those? Well, if you remember what we looked at before, we were looking at the OSC incoming data. That's actually going to come up right here. And so under intensity, we're going to use rotary 1, and then R is going to be rotary 2, G is rotary 3, and B is rotary 4. So it all corresponds here. So now if I bring back this interface, and on my iPad I start adjusting these, you don't see anything. Why is that? Because the light is black because they're all set to 0 right now. So as I bring up these different pots right here, I'm mixing R, G, and B. So if I mix just RG, I get yellow, for example, and so on. Now what's cool about this is if you have the full version of this, you can actually record these as keyframes. So you just hit record and you can change colors and stuff by hand as it goes. Kind of gives it a little natural feel. This is just a very basic way to use this. It's very, very powerful. There's so much you can do with it. And I encourage everybody to be creative. This, to me, these tools with these different devices have opened up a whole new world. If you've seen some of the other Brograph experiments, then you know what I'm talking about, especially when it comes to interfacing the iPhone with Cinema 4D. So I thought this was a good introduction to just show what this does and how powerful it is. Keep watching because there are going to be some other Halloween related things that use this OSC interface. So don't forget, in the meantime, check out Brograph.com if you want to see more. Don't forget to go to Facebook and subscribe. Check out our Twitter page. Please subscribe to our YouTube, now that I'm thinking about it, because once we hit 100 subscribers, we're actually going to do some live stuff, which is going to be a lot of fun. And that's about it. I hope you enjoyed. Until next time, I'm Dave Koss, and thanks for watching. It's pretty good, I guess.